We get going on the second part of the video. I was listening and looking at the comments last night, and some of the comments were trying to think of the right words here, but they were thinking about what kind of calorie intake and everything is. So that was a good question for me. Whenever I get a good question, I start scratching my head, and then I myself have to find out the answer just so I know. So since I looked it up, I'm just going to go ahead and pass it on to you guys. And these are the numbers that I have. I got it from the National Health Service, and you can use these numbers when you make your spreadsheet to order your bulk food. So hold on a second, I'm going to loosen up the tripod here and turn the camera, and I'm going to try to make it so you guys can see this. Try to make it here, hold on. I don't know if I'll be able to let you see the whole thing, but you'll be able to see some of it. And I'll get my tall butt out of the way so the shadow's out of there. And then we'll just go over it real quick. Let me get something to point with for you. Okay, I'm not gonna tear anything up here. So here it is. I got the National Health Service. That's my source. So for an adult, calories a day, I should just not talk so loud, I got a microphone. It says that men should use about 2,700 calories a day, and that's when they're active. So we know that when we have a disaster, shit hits the fan type scenario, that we can't just be sitting around on our duffs. We're gonna have to be up moving around and stuff. So that's the figures I went with. So men have to have 2,700 calories a day. Women have to have 2,200 calories a day. And if you figure all that out over 30 days, that's 81,000 calories a month for men and 66,000 calories a month for women. So that information there would go into your spreadsheet. Then I went and I figured out the water, and water a day says men need, same source I went by, men need 3.7 liters a day, and women need 2.7 liters a day to keep themselves hydrated. That doesn't count the amount of water that you use to wash your body or your dishes or your laundry or anything like this. This is just for human intake. So that all came out to 125 liters a month for men and 91 liters a month for women. Now all these figures will go into a spreadsheet that your neighborhood would put together so that they would know how much bulk food to buy. So then I thought even farther, and I went to children calories. Boys between the ages of 9 and 13, they need 2,000 calories a day or 6,000 calories a month. And then boys from 14 to 18 years of age, they need 2,700 calories a day. Now these numbers are with somebody actually getting up and moving around and doing their thing, not sitting on their duffs. So the 2,800 calories work out to 8,400 calories a month. And then for girls between the ages of 9 and 13, they would use 1,800 calories a day or 5,400 or 54,000 calories a month. And then girls between the ages of 14 to 18, they need to use 2,200 calories a day, and that works out to 66,000 calories a month. So that's quite a bit. And then the water over here is I broke it even farther down to the 2.41 liters a day for the boys would work out to 72 liters a month, and the girls 2.1 liters a day would work out to 63 liters a month. So hold on a second, get over here where you can see me again and turn it the wrong way. Now This is just an average to go off of, so that everybody that was asking me the questions in the comments, I tried to get some sort of answer for you, and you would have to have somebody in your community that is using these numbers to make up the spreadsheet so that they can order their bulk food. Now, the water intake is very important. You would still have to figure out how much water that you would need to do like laundry and your bathing and stuff like that, or find somebody that has a big lake or something, you know, because when we have a disaster, and I'm going to use an example, I'm going to use Puerto Rico as an example, is if you look at them, they're still without power and water, and they're still scraping and scrimping for all that other stuff that they have. So if you look at a scenario that's already happening, then these numbers are kind of horrific. So make sure that when you do your spreadsheet, we include all the numbers so you can figure out the amount of food and water that you're really going to have to order. Because I'm pretty sure that when the disaster hits, we're not going to be able just to turn on our spigots and get water. The water supply is going to be compromised, so you're going to have to take that into consideration. And another thing a guy had mentioned on there was he would like to kind of see the spreadsheet or a scenario. So this is why I did this, but at the same time I also mentioned that I would not consider not doing a panel. We could put a panel together and go ahead and make a spreadsheet, and then we could do a live session, and then we could sit and talk about that so that everybody gets all their questions answered, and we all actually see a real-time bulk order situation. Because I just want you guys to understand that that's why last night when we were talking about it, that the best time to be doing it would be at the end of the year, the first part of the next year, so everybody that doesn't have a lot of money would be able to use their income tax money for part of this, and then some other people also don't have to worry about it. They have savings or whatever. But this is just so that everybody can get on board, and it's going to be pretty important for the whole neighborhood to be on board with this, because you really won't be able to take on anybody like for a charity case. It's just not feasible. So keep that in mind. I just wanted to run that by you guys, because that was a very good question that was asked last night. So now we can start part 2, which is going to be reasoning. I'm going to turn the camera here so I can go through this with you. I might even, you don't need to see me, so I'm going to move the camera a little bit closer to this because it's got a glare on it. So okay, 5 reasons to enlist your neighbors into this scenario. And I wrote these down. I'm just going to go by them real fast, and then we're going to go ahead and talk about them one by one. So the first reason would be you'd have more hands to be productive, meaning you'd be better prepared. And then the second reason being more resources. Everybody would have different tools and stuff that you would be able to use for get everybody going back into sort of a real life situation. And then the third reason would be there'd be more skill sets, because you have more people that have different things that they're good at than other people. Welding, plumbing, carpentry, you know, that kind of scenario. And then 4 would be the neighborhood would be a whole lot safer, because we all know that there is safety in numbers. And then the last one is more weapons. And believe it or not, if you have a situation like this, you're really going to need those weapons. I can't sugarcoat that at all, you know. It's just something that's going to have to be, because you're going to have to protect, for one thing, the food, and then you're going to have to protect your family and your homes and whatnot. So You can't get away from this one right here. So, okay, I'm going to move away from the board and we're going to talk about those. I'm going to leave the camera sitting there on the board so that you guys can look at it while I'm talking. So, let's go into that first one, which is you're going to have more hands so you're more productive or being better prepared. And that is, that's going to be the hard work. And, you know, it'd be much easier to stock supplies with more hands in there. It'd be, you'd be able to have more hands to do things like gathering water. The water is going to be a really big thing because, as you can see from the list that we have up here, there's a lot of water that gets consumed, and what we have on the board here is not even half of what you're going to need the water for. Like I said, the scenario that we're looking at is an SHTF situation. It's not the zombie apocalypse. We're talking about things like hurricanes and tornadoes and floods and things like this. So real life disasters, you know. So, also, you know, while those hens come with their own mouths to feed. So that's why I went ahead and talked about the bulk food situation, the calorie intake and the water last night as the first part, because you want to make sure each family is taking care of their own, so nobody's left out, nobody has to help each other out on the food. You got your own food. If they don't have their own food, then you're going to have to deal with that situation. And, you know, we can talk about this in the comment section, but there's going to come a time when if nobody's doing their part in the neighborhood to get ready and be prepared for the disaster, then you're going to have to think about telling them to leave that area that you're protecting, because in order for it to work, everybody has to have their share, if you can understand that. Okay, now while those hens, okay, we talked about that. Then the productivity would be worth it because everybody's on board. If anybody got sick, then the other people of the community could help that person become well and help the family members care for the sick person until they got back up on their feet. Now, I forgot to tell you guys when I got started here with this that I got all this information off the internet, and the reasoning and to enlist the neighbors, it comes from a guy that goes by the name of Survivor Mike. So that's all I know is the information's on the internet. It was by a guy named Survivor Mike. So there's other information out there. If you really want to, you go look at the information up yourself. I'm just trying to cut one of those steps out for you. So if you don't like what I'm saying, go look for yourself, and then you'll realize that I'm not really too far off base here. Okay, so the second part is the more resources. By this, I'm talking about the people have additional resources that you wouldn't have if you were by yourself. And examples of this would be they would have vehicles, they would have tools, they would have other assets that would come in handy in the scenario. So this is what I'm talking about, the whole neighborhood. And I was going to put up a little grid thing up there and tell you that the numbers would be for X amount of people, but that's not being, in my opinion now, it's not really being real. I mean, every community or neighborhood has a different amount of people, so you would have to just say, okay, we're talking about a neighborhood of 14 or 28 or 36 or something like that. You know where I'm going with that, right? So also the neighbors the neighborhood, everybody has their own contacts, you know. Is you have your contacts with people that you could enlist to help you, but so would the other people in the neighborhood. So you're going to have, you can see where I'm going. It's everybody can rely on something else. You're not doing all this by yourself and running out of resources. Another thing is skill sets. That's where we come in right here on number 3 is the skill set. And that's because everybody are diverse. Just because I know how to weld doesn't mean everybody in the neighborhood can weld. So there's going to be welders, there's going to be carpenters, there's going to be plumbers, electricians. You know, there's going to be different skill sets that you're going to need to put everything back together. Okay, by having them part of your community, excuse me, you get to learn from them as well. So, to say you don't know how to weld, but I do, I could take a group of you guys off to the side and I could teach you how to weld too. Same with the carpentry, the plumbing, engineers, whatever. You teach each other your skills, and then everything starts ballooning out from there, and that makes everything kind of work more smoothly. Also, with a community of people, you'd be able to break everything down, and you could have people that do the wash, or people that go out and do patrols in the neighborhood to make sure everybody's safe. You know, you would have to break it down so everybody has a job to do, and slowly but surely get everything working back into the world with order instead of the world without rule of order. So, okay, let's go back. Safety in numbers. You learn from them, and you get more efficient at prepping. Say that you're set up for, and I put up here that you would have everything that would last from 3 to 6 months. God forbid it would last that long, but if you don't look at a bigger picture, you could be caught with your pants down, so to speak. You know, in your mind, you're thinking that this is only going to last 2 or 3 weeks. It could last longer. If you're not prepared to last longer, then everything's going to fall apart. That's when you're going to have the people from the outside trying to come in and take what you have, and people are going to start fighting amongst each other, and there's just going to be all sorts of problems there. So that's where we come to right here, the last one, and that's more weapons. And it's the biggest reason for enlisting your neighbors probably would be defense, to make sure everybody's taking care of their own. You know, they're taking care of their food, taking care of their families and their children, and making sure that people from the outside, the predators, aren't going to be coming in and taking what you got. Okay, it says if you also, he says that if you're in suburbia, and this is what it's set up for, it's not set up for inside the city. It'd be hard for people in an apartment complex. I suppose it would work. You would have to sit down and figure it out. It comes with a spreadsheet and all that stuff. But the people in the city, they're trying to think of it. People in the city figure that they're going to be taken care of by the government. And you can also think of that like this. That's the people of Puerto Rico. They thought that the United States was going to step in and take care of them. They thought that they would come in there and make sure everything was taken care of with food, water, clothing, things like that. When in reality, you can see just from looking that nobody's taking care of them, that they're having to take care of themselves. So they didn't plan far enough ahead to be ready for this. So it would be the same thing with your neighborhood. You know, if you're not thinking, I'm trying to lift up here, far enough ahead, I mean, hopefully that would not happen, you know, that you would be out of out of whack for longer than 2 or 3 weeks, but you could be. The thing is that you could be, and if you're not prepared for that, then we're going to be just like the people in Puerto Rico. The people are dying from disease and stuff like that. They're drinking unsafe water, and you know, everybody can watch the news. They know what's going on there. Okay, it says, however, with the community of folks watching the homes, it becomes less likely that looters and others will start to bother you. Meaning that if the predators are going to come in to take your stuff, they're going to look and see that the community is taking care of itself, that they have patrols, and that they have their families are being taken care of, and they can just look and see that it's not going to be worth their while to come in there and try to take what they want. And that's where this one here that nobody likes to talk about right here is going to come into effect. You're going to have to make sure that you have your weapons. That's not necessarily just guns, but guns is going to be a big part of it. Some people don't like guns, and they're going to have other ways to take care of themselves. There could be baseball bats. There could be bows and arrows. There could be crossbows. You know where I'm going from this. So, you know, I'm not talking just about guns. I'm just talking general. Okay. Also, when you do it, when you're putting everything together like this, is you're starting to build a community of a tight-knit people, where they can see the holes in their plan. And that's where I was talking about earlier. If somebody's not on board with helping the neighborhood in the whole plan, the food, the water, and all these reasons for the neighborhood pulling together, then it's going to be the neighborhood's job to weed those people out. Because we all know that you're going to only have enough for yourself. It wouldn't be our job to take somebody else in. And if we did, it would have to be the whole community decide that, not just one person. So we all know that strength comes in numbers, and also where I came from before is you would have to have, it would be just like a fine run organization. Everybody would be working in shifts so that you're taken care of 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And then you would have to put out the patrols, like I was saying, and you would have to be guarding during the shit hits the fan situation. And it shows that if you're taking care of yourself and the outsiders actually see that you have a plan in place, then they're not going to be apt to come in and try to bully you and take what they want, and just like that. You guys know what I'm talking about. So it comes on down to having a larger arsenal of weapons, and it makes sense, you know. The people are going to be looking inside from outside. They're going to say you got 8 people with guns and only 2 people to shoot them, you know. That's not a strong, tight-knit neighborhood. That's why everybody has to be prepared, you know. Everybody has to be able to shoot the guns, the arrows, be able to use the bats, and not be afraid to do that, because the first time you let your guard down, that's when the people from the outside are going to come in and try to take what you have. So you want to make sure that all the people are armed and that they're all trained, because the people, the predators or the looters, they're going to look in there, and it's going to be more. They're going to be more apt to just go around you and move on than to sit there and try to do a confrontation. Now this sounds kind of like an extreme, but you'll have to do this in order to be prepared. Okay, that's kind of what I have, and I tried to explain it without taking a whole lot of time for you guys, because I don't want the film to lose your attention. But if you watch this and think about it, and then leave your comments down below, and not only your comments, but if you see a loophole or something I missed, put that in the comments down below as well, because this is something that I would be willing to set up a panel for and talk about it amongst the subscribers. This is pretty important to make sure that everything works and shit hits the fan, you know. And I'm telling you, I'm seriously not talking about the zombie apocalypse. I don't want to hear those stupid, or not stupid, but I don't want to hear those kind of comments down in the comment section. I'm trying to be as serious as I can and prepare the people for what could happen in the scenario. It's important that you understand that this is kind of a serious thing, especially with everything going on in the world right now. We have North Korea, we have Asia, we have China. You know, I'm not trying to scare you guys, but these are all facts of what's going on in our world. So if we're not prepared for anything that can happen, I'm going to knock on wood here and hope that nothing does happen, you know. But we have to be prepared just in case it does. It's about what I have, you know. I could sit here and try to drill it into you, but I'm not trying to make you do something you don't want to do. I'm just trying to give you the facts. So after I give you the facts, it's up to you to decide what you want to do with those facts. But I would prefer that you had all the information at hand. Now, I may have missed something here. I tried not to, but if I did, write it in the comments, please. I really would appreciate that. So we're into 27 minutes, and I don't want to lose your interest in this. But I do want you to think about it. Another thing that I want to talk about is the drawing. Is, you know, at 1100 we're going to have the drawing for the pack. But I only have a couple of videos in the VRs, which is a video response to the question of what you as a subscriber wants from this channel over the course of 2018. You can watch the video, you can give me the support word, that's great, but I also need that video response so that I know what the group wants from me in 2018. Also, I want to tell you guys, I put out the community shout out today, so I'm not trying to use that word, excuse me, the community supporters. So I want you guys to think about this. Give me the video response. You guys all do live streams, you guys all do videos, so it shouldn't be that big a thing for you to give me a video response that is 5 minutes or less on what you want from this channel in 2018. Excuse me. So that's what I have. The drawing's coming up pretty soon. We're up to 1,018 subscribers, so it's important that you, if you want to be entered to win the backpack, you actually have to give me that video response. You can do everything else and not do the video response and you won't be entered. I'm sorry, but that's the guidelines. I'm not trying to be a butthead or anything. That's just how it is. So I have less than a minute to tell you that without all you guys here, I could not do what I'm doing now. I mean, you guys have made me not only grow as a YouTuber, but to grow as a person. And so I want to thank you guys from the bottom of my heart for letting me do this, okay? And so as usual, you know that I love you and that I'll see you on the flip-flops, okay? So God bless you, God bless me, and God bless the US of A. Thanks for watching. Remember to leave your comments and hit that like button. Next time.